What's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to do a review of the new Westside Gunn album entitled Who Made the Sunshine. Let's get to it. Westside Gunn is the creative genius, curator, and backbone of the Griselda movement, and he is back at it with his third album of 2020, this being the official Shady Records debut. Now, going into this, I was somewhat skeptical if Westside Gunn could deliver another project as good, or if not better than Pray for Paris, because sonically, that was a great album. Regardless if you don't consider Westside Gunn to be much of a lyricist, it is hard to deny that Pray for Paris wasn't a well put together and cohesive body of work. I think most will agree that Flag God is an Awesome God 2 was just alright when compared to the rest of his discography, but let me go ahead and just jump right into this Who Made the Sunshine album. It's 40 minutes in length, containing 11 tracks, with one being an intro. Alright, so it's hot take time, y'all. Let me start by saying that this album isn't on the same level sonically as Pray for Paris. It just doesn't have that larger than life feeling to it, which is kind of a letdown for me, considering Conway's Shady debut definitely had that. And I've still been rocking with that Conway album heavy. Don't get me wrong, this project is mostly good with some standout features. The features are definitely the main selling point without a doubt. Now, typically the beats on Westside Gunn albums are top notch. However, not all these beats blew me away this time around, unlike much of the enticing production found on Pray for Paris and Hitler Wears Hermes 7. There are some really dope instrumentals throughout, but as a whole package, the production is slightly underwhelming. And the main reason I say this is because some of the beats in question sound exactly like the ones that Griselda has rapped over within the past year or so, i.e. George Bondo and Dr. Birds. Yeah, I kind of wish Griselda would stop trying to flip the Dr. Birds beat 5 different ways. As far as the producers go, you have Derringer and Beat Butcha doing 7 out of the 11 songs, and I think that is where the problem lied for me, because I've heard way better beats from both of those individuals on prior efforts. Don't get me twisted, they are both extremely talented producers that make beats that I usually dig, but I was kind of lukewarm about some of these. Am I alone in thinking that the Derringer and Beat Butcha production was just okay? Maybe I am. Maybe I am bugging, but that's cool. Just let me know in the comment section what you think. Fortunately, though, there were some hard-hitting instrumentals to balance out the semi-recycled sounding ones. You had 2 very well-produced tracks by The Alchemist, one insane instrumental from Just Blaze, and a really dope but unorthodox beat from Conductor Williams. Thankfully, the features were really on point. You had Double A Rashid on the intro, Benny Conway and Armani appearing a couple times throughout. You had Black Dot, Slick Rick on not one, but 2 tracks, Busta Rhymes, Boldy James, Jadakiss, Keisha Plum, El Camino, Stove God Cooks, who many consider to be the Rookie of the Year, Estee Knack, the prolific Flea Lord, and Smoke DZA. So I was very pleased with the guests featured here. No one came whack or dropped the ball in the slightest. So with that being said, let me hit y'all with this track by track breakdown. The Sunshine intro sets this thing off with Double A Rashid dropping some metaphysical knowledge about the sun, but I didn't really like this beat because I feel like we've heard this style of Griselda beat many times, whether it was George Bondo or Tito's Back. We've all heard it. So I recall being annoyed right off the bat. This is the opening track, which is supposed to set the tone, and the beat sounds mad recycled on a new project, so it just irritated me for real. Track 2 is The Butcher and the Blade, featuring Conway the Machine and Benny the Butcher. This was another Derringer and Beat Butcha instrumental. It's hard-hitting and grimy, but I noticed the spooky piano loop closely resembles the one used on Benny's Sunday School. Despite that, I did like this track as I felt all 3 members did their thing, although Benny's verse was the one that stuck out to me the most. He stated, "You know it's gangster how I rock when you greet me, respect me. Yeah, I'm made in my hood, dudes treat me like I'm lefty. I swear this brick spoke and said, take it easy, don't stretch me. Your favorite rapper called around saying, please come protect me." Lefty, of course, being a Donnie Brasco reference. At the end of his verse, he said, "The ops get it in 2 days or less like Amazon Prime. You're going to hear the butcher coming because it's never going to change. I came back to smoke everything just like '07 Wayne." I mean, that was when Wayne was at his best, right? All right, up next we have Ishkabibbles featuring Black Thought. So had I never heard the beat for Dr. Bird's, Lil C's, or even Conway's Spurs 3, then this might have been a fire instrumental. But this style of bell production sounds so similar to those instrumentals that it made this beat less appealing to me. However, I still like this song, mainly due to Black Thought's appearance. I thought Westside Gunn's verse was pretty decent and semi-coherent, but then again, having Black Thought on the same song will force you to step up your game. Black Thought was doing some coke talk, some kingpin rap, which isn't the standard bill for him, but he's been known to give you some street content at times. He said, "Them fiends histamines keep him with a snotty nose. What a waste, like the place where the shoddy goes. They'll probably doze in the corner, tell him adios. Heroin could cop a fake rhyme, but he push a neon. This cocoa knock the face off the Sphinx like Leon." What follows is the Alchemist produced All Praises featuring Boldy James and Jadakiss. I like how the Alchemist brought back his old producer tag, which was super dope to hear, but I enjoyed the mellow, soulful, and atmospheric production that Uncle Al laced them with. You have Westside Gunn singing on the chorus, which might not go over well for some, but I actually didn't mind it. But Boldy and Jada deliver strong verses, but it was Jada's who was the most striking, in my opinion. He said, "Everybody woke now. They want us to vote now. COVID-19 is a stamp on the dope now." But it's good that people are becoming more woke and energized to vote, because back in 2016, too many people stayed home around election time, and look who we got stuck with in office. Big Boshas has a mid-90s jazz rap style beat with chimes. It really gives off this chill boom bap vibe. I actually thought Gunn's verse was pretty solid. A couple of lines that grabbed my attention were, "Hey, yo, brains everywhere, the shit was polarized, Glock next to my nuts, Balenciaga's oversized, my third eye open wide." It's a cool little track under 2 minutes, but the backdrop sounds like a more polished and glossed over beat from the year 1995. After that, we get another mellow Alchemist produced track, Liz Loves Luger. Let me tell you, I really like Alchemist on these R&B styled soulful instrumentals. It's a refreshing change up from his typical moody minimalism. We have Armani Caesar singing on the hook, and she doesn't sound bad doing it. She also does a sing-song flow on her verse, which was cool, but Westside Gunn's verse was not good. Unless you wanted to hear a lyrical porno that doesn't rhyme well, I think Conway would have been better suited to rap over this beat. Even Benny would have worked here. So I love the beat, enjoyed Armani's crooning, but the Gunn verse, not so much. What follows is Ocean Prime featuring rap pioneer Slick Rick and the legend Busta Rhymes. This beat is very mid-90s inspired with some shimmering keys. It's basically boom bap with an elegant and luxurious touch. Busta Rhymes is rapping aggressively on top of this smooth beat, while Slick Rick is using more of a slow flow, but he sounds as good as ever, although I have to admit it was hard for me to discern what exactly he was talking about, but the shit just sounded smooth. Man, let me tell you, it was really good hearing Slick Rick making an appearance. Hopefully he gets on more songs in the future because he still got it. Up next, we have the Keisha Plum assisted Leslie. The lavish strings sounded decent, but I wasn't in love with this one. It just didn't do a whole lot for me, although it wasn't whack. But I thought Keisha Plum's spoken word piece was cool. I'm the ghetto Diana Ross. He's the hood Billy D. Toni Morrison with a pistol. It was just some fly imagery. Then we get the standout Frank Murphy, which is a posse cut produced by Conductor Williams. At this point, Gunn should do a entire project just with Conductor Williams, because so far all of their collaborations have been fire. This instrumental is off kilter, off beat, and just downright bizarre, but All the MCs featured on it come correct and do some damage. This is an 8-minute posse track featuring Stove God, Este Knack, El Camino, Flea Lord, Smoke DZA, and Westside Gunn. In my opinion, Stove God and Flea Lord shine the brightest, but Smoke DZA had a solid verse as well. Stove God said, "My plug looked like Razor Ramon." This might be one of the most suitable wrestling references ever to be stated on a coke rap track. He also said, "Don't ever judge a book by the cover. Bitch, judge a cook by how it bubble." But yeah, Frank Murphy is easily one of the top 3 songs on the project without a doubt. You don't even realize it is as long as it is because it's so dope. After this, we get a storytelling track entitled Good Night. This is the second time Slick Rick appears on the album, and I actually like this appearance more than the one with Busta Rhymes. Westside Gunn actually told a pretty lucid story, and Slick Rick sounds as good as he did in the 90s. So if you love storytelling, it doesn't get much better than to have a verse from Slick Rick. Now, to keep it a buck, the beat didn't really grab me all like that, but I did like this one for the Slick Rick verse. So the song ended up being one of my favorites just off of what Slick Rick brought to the table. And of course, I give Westside Gunn his props for having this legend come on board. Thankfully, the album ends on a high note with the Just Blaze produced banger 98 Sabres. The beat is crazy. You have this dripping of water, or perhaps it's a dripping of blood sound effect in the background. Conway has an incredible verse. The whole entire verse was fire emojis. I could basically read the whole thing. Armani Caesar also came correct. So for those who, question her lyrical ability, she definitely got busy here. So yeah, overall, this was an outstanding moment on the LP and just a great way to close out this project. Overall, I give this album a rating of 3.8 out of 5. So going by the source rating scale, this would be a strong 3.5 mics. Like I said earlier, for my ears, this wasn't as interesting of a release as Pray for Paris, but it was indeed better than Fly God is an Awesome God 2. Really, the only thing that held this project back for me was the production, which sounded a little stale when compared to the beats on the previous Westside Gunn projects. I know it's a common thing to say, well, one shouldn't compare an artist's current release to their other ones, but for me, the way I critique albums, it's almost impossible not to. Let me say this though, the features were really dope, so lyrically there were enough strong moments on the tape, but overall, I was expecting something a little more cutting edge from Westside Gunn, something that would move the dial forward a little more. It's still a solid album, but I feel the product could have been a little more potent than what we got. Maybe Conway spoiled us with how great his Shady debut was. Perhaps if I had no expectations for this album, or if I could disregard the other projects that he put out this year, then I could say that this was a really great album. Still, I'm thankful that we got to hear Slick Rick twice, and Benny, Conway, and Armani all excelled on their verses. So at the end of the day, this is all just my humble opinion. I'm sure a lot of people really love this album, but I can't fake it like I loved everything about it. It's still a strong 3.5 mics, or the score of a 3.8. But I really can't wait for this Benny and Hit Boy album that we have coming up. My favorite tracks include The Butcher and the Blade, Ishka Bibbles, Ocean Prime, All Praises, Frank Murphy, Good Night, and 98 Sabres. Let me know what you thought of this project in the comment section below. What would you like me to check out next? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Westside Gunn, who made the sunshine, one.